Good evening. My name is Joel Cope, and I serve as one of the board members of the Mableton Improvement Coalition, or MIC, and I welcome all of you to our respective organizations' candidate forum featuring those candidates who qualified for either the offices of mayor or of city council. We think you're going to find this to be an interesting and informative forum. This forum is being organized by our partner, the Austell Community Taskforce, or ACT, as well as the Mableton Improvement Coalition. And I want to thank ACT both for their friendship and their dedication to the community. I'd also like to thank all of you in the listening audience for caring enough to attend and be a part of this discussion this evening. It's important to stress again that our organizations are nonpartisan and do not support any candidate or political party. Tonight, we introduce to you and thank those candidates who have qualified for Mableton City Council Districts number 1, 2, 3, and 5. These are your neighbors and fellow residents. Our organizations will be having a separate forum on the evening of February 21st for the candidates running for mayor, as well as districts 4 and 6 on the city council. Please make sure to place this on your calendar and tell all of your friends and neighbors to tune in. Every single candidate that declared his or her intent to run was invited to participate in these forums, and that invitation was extended multiple times through varied means of communication based on that information supplied by the candidates themselves. Therefore, if you do not see someone on the dais tonight or the next evening that you know is running for office, it may be due to that candidate's conflict or choice, not due to a lack of invitation by our respective organizations. To the best of my knowledge, this forum is the only forum where all the candidates who are running for mayor and city council will be all together in one platform. For our organizations, it is critical this forum tonight be a place where the candidates can present to you, the voters, the reasons why they should earn your vote. This forum will not be permitted to devolve into name calling or casting aspersions. To that end, we've indicated to the candidates that the offending parties will be temporarily muted if that does occur. We want this forum to appeal to the better angels of our nature and not one where it devolves into a race to the bottom, so to speak. Now, as you know, at the time you registered this forum, you had the opportunity to submit a question or questions for the candidates. We received many wonderful questions, but due to the sheer limited amount of time, we may not be able to get to all those questions that were submitted to us. We do not want you to think that this forum has held without questions being asked that you might have submitted. It's simply a matter of just the time. In addition, on the MIC website, and I believe the ACT social media as well, there is a link, www.mableton.org/cityofmableton/, and there you can find videos of the candidates running for office, be they mayor or city council. Nate Smith and Robert Meyer worked hard in conjunction with those candidates to make these video links possible. We encourage you to go online and review these videos after this forum is over, of course. We also want to remind our viewers of a few critical dates. The last date to register to vote is February 21st, 8 days from now. Early voting will begin on February 27th, just 2 weeks from today. And the actual election day itself is March 21st. In addition, if you have questions whatsoever as to whether or not you're in the new city of Mableton and whether you can vote for the people you're going to see on the screen, please call the Cobb County Board of Elections at 770-528-2581 and ask. Now, MIC is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization with 11 board members and has existed since 2001. Today, we're involved in a whole host of subject areas, including zoning, community gardening, parks, the Mableton Farmers Market, neighborhood watches, economic development, Adopt a Mile, and many, many other areas of interest in our community. And I cannot stress enough to all of you that MIC accomplishes all that it does without any paid staff or headquarters, and depends entirely upon the work of its volunteers. And we'd also like to thank our corporate sponsors for all their support. Please join our organization as there is strength in numbers. Now, I'd like to introduce to you our partner organization, Austell Community Taskforce, and Dante Philpott.
Thank you, Joel. Good evening, everyone, and we thank you for taking the time out of your evening to be here with us. You could have been a lot of different places. You could have been doing a lot of different things, but you chose to participate and attend this forum. And for that, we thank you. First and foremost, definitely want to thank Mableton Improvement Coalition for their partnership, because this is definitely not an easy task. And we thank all the candidates from all the different races that have chosen to participate this evening. Again, we know that it's not an easy task, and we know that public service is definitely, it's not an easy task. You expose yourself to a lot, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing this and making sure that you are there for the people or the persons that matter most, which is the community. So again, the purpose of this forum, and just simply to reiterate, the purpose of the forum is to give you, the community, the greatest opportunity to be an informed voter, to be an educated voter, so that way when you head to the polls, you are making an informed and educated decision. Again, the candidates, they're not here to bash each other, but simply to promote their platform, so that way you know and understand what side of the issue or issues they stand on. And from that, you take that information to the polls and you cast your ballot based on the information that you have. I will definitely say that this form is not intended to be the end all be all of any candidate's candidacy, their campaigns, if you will. So I encourage each and every person, after these forms that have been completed, reach out to any particular candidate if you want to find out more. If there were questions that you had that you didn't hear that were asked, or maybe you weren't totally sure about the answer that you heard, reach out to each candidate to find out more. So again, you do yourself a favor and be an educated and an informed voter. Last but not least, I will definitely say again, I am a board member with Austell Community Taskforce, and we are a nonprofit organization. We are volunteer led, and we always look for volunteers, for people that really have a passion for helping the community. We have a number of different programs or services that we engage in, from community development, economic development, youth, family, justice for all, so on and so forth. So if any of these organizations or any of these ideas, if any of these things strike you, I would highly recommend that you reach out to Austell Community Task Force and also Mableton Improvement Coalition and be involved in the community. That way you are making a difference in the community in which you live in. So with that being said, I will turn it over to you, Chandrika. We have a quick 5-minute blurb from the election office, and this is pertinent and vital information that you definitely want to hear. It'll answer some of your preliminary questions, and that'll get us kick started off for this evening. So Chandrika, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, we're here with Elections Director Janine Eveler to talk about the Mableton municipal election that's coming up. And the first question, Director Eveler, is, am I in the city of Mableton?
Well, folks can go to the cobbcounty.org webpage, and there's a link right there that they can look at the map, put in their address, and find out if they are in the city boundaries.
So I find out I am in the city boundaries. When do I have the opportunity to cast my vote?
Well, Election Day is March 21st with a likely runoff, because there are a lot of candidates, and the runoff would be on April 18th. The first voting that will be happening is advance voting, and that will start on February 27th and go to March 17th.
And I understand we finally determined where that actually physically will be taking place.
Yes, our Board of Elections has approved the advance voting sites, and that will be a couple of new places that we haven't seen in a while. We'll be using the Mabel House Arts Center on Floyd Road and the South Cobb Community Center on Lions Club Drive.
And again, that starts the 27th through
March 17th. So February 27th through March 17th, there will be hours will be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the weekdays for 3 weeks. And then on the 2 Saturdays, that would be March 4th and 11th, will be open from 9 to 5.
So then if I don't take advantage of advanced voting, it's now election day. What do I do?
So there are 15 precincts that are involved in this election. Some of them are just partial precincts. So you really do have to make sure that you live in the city boundaries, because your whole precinct may not be involved in this election. Go ahead and give us a call if you can't figure out the map. What we are planning to do is send everybody that's in the city a letter telling them where their voting location is and which district they're in. Right now, we are still doing districting for the city council races and to make sure everybody's in their city council district. So the letter is projected to be in the first part of March.
Then what happens after Election Day? The counting begins, and if we have some races that don't reach a winner with 50%, then what goes on?
Right, so this new Mableton City, the charter says that we do need a majority to determine a winner. There are a lot of candidates in these races. A lot of folks have come out and qualified as candidates. So it's very likely that at least some of the races will go to a runoff. The runoff will be on April 18th.
Seeing some of the work going on ahead of time, I understand there may be some precinct changes?
Yes, so a couple of things have happened. One of our precincts of our 15 is Bernie 02, and they normally vote at the C. Freeman Pool Senior Center. Unfortunately, that building has had some water damage in some of the last storms. So we are temporarily moving those voters to a new place called Bethany United Methodist Church. And again, we will be sending you a letter and a precinct card that indicates that. But if you're normally a Freeman Pool Senior Center voter, you will go to Bethany United Methodist Church. Also, we have a few voters, not more than 15 voters, are in the city of Mableton, but they're in Norton Park 01 precinct. So instead of just opening a whole precinct for 15 voters, we have moved those voters to Mableton 04, and they will vote at Floyd Middle School. And those voters will be contacted, so you don't have to worry if you're in the Norton Park 01 precinct. You will be notified if you're one of that 15 voters.
This is an unusual election, so how does absentee by mail work?
Voters who want to vote a mail ballot can apply for that now, and we are accepting those absentee mail ballots by March 10th is the last date to apply. We won't be mailing the ballots out until February 27th, so if you apply now, you'll have your ballot mailed out on the 27th.
All right, so if I take anything out of this, is the fact that I need to do my homework to make sure I'm in the city to know whether I need to vote.
Yes, because this is a brand new city, we need to make sure that everybody is educated about where they go to vote and whether or not they are part of the city, and that they look up the candidates and do their research.
All right, thank you, Director Eveler.
Thank you.
You're muted, Joel.
Hey, Joel, you're muted.
All right, my apologies, everyone. All right, so that obviously was hopefully a very helpful video from Janine Eveler, who again is the Director of Elections for Cobb County. And at this point, we're going to go into the Q&A portion of the program, and we're going to begin our first office, which is the City Council District 5. There are 4 persons running that seat who qualified: Cheryl Davis, Chijoke Ibis, TJ Ferguson, and Stephanie Luce. And at this point, we will bring them up to the screen for our audience. They will each have a 1-minute opportunity to give an opening statement, and then we're going to go into Q&A after that point. And we're going to kind of go out of order here, but we're going to start with Ms. Luce, if you would like to go first, and then we'll call the next candidate.
Thank you very much. I love to solve problems, and I want to put my skills to work for the city. I have education, experience, and integrity to do the best job. I'm a certified public accountant. For over 4 decades, I've been advising successful businesses. A city has to run like a business. It has to have short-term and long-term goals. I want to be part of the team that establishes these systems and policies for Mableton for our future. Because I'm self-employed, I have the flexibility to adjust my schedule, to attend meetings, to listen to constituents, and work with other government officials. I'm an Army veteran and volunteer. I've worked with government from local to federal. I know how these entities work and don't work. I want Mableton's government to work and to be responsive to our residents and businesses. My name is Stephanie Luce, and I would love your vote by March 21.
Thank you very much. Cheryl Davis. Cheryl Davis.
Yes, am I showing?
No, your camera's off. Go ahead and turn your camera on. Perfect.
All right, now we can see you.
Yes. Right, thank you very much. I'm Cheryl Davis. I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I moved to Mableton in 2004. I worked for state government and various agencies for more than 21 years. I've worked for the Department of Transportation doing architectural and engineering pre-construction contracts and dealing with $50 million budget contracts. I currently work for the Department of Juvenile Justice, providing resources and therapy for at-risk youth and their families. And I'm running because I'm not a politician, but I'm a concerned citizen. And I've lived in Mableton for nearly 20 years now, and I have been wanting to see more growth and opportunity within Mableton. And I'm not a type of person that complains about something and never does anything about it. If it's within my power to change it, I'm going to make every effort to do so. And to try to make a better community for not just for myself, but everyone involved. I will have your best interests at heart. I appreciate this opportunity that everyone has been giving us. I work hard for you. I'm a dedicated, eager, community-driven, family-focused candidate for you, and I will bring ethics and state policies to the office because, as my opponent said, that starting the state of a city government, we have to put policies and standard operating procedures in place. And I will bring the same level of state policies that we have written before to the state level. And I will bring ethics and be an honest candidate and work very hard for the citizens of Mableton. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next person, TJ Ferguson.
Hello, my name is TJ Ferguson, and I'm a candidate for Mableton City Council District 5. Thank you so much to Mick and to ACT for putting this together. I truly appreciate this opportunity to come in front of folks and just kind of tell more about myself. As a newly formed city, Mableton, we cannot be complacent at all. We need to commit to moving Mableton forward together, and that's my desire. You can visit my website at tj4mableton.com for more information about me. But the skinny of it is, I'm a family man, I'm a veteran, I'm a community advocate, and I desire to be a part of the solution for Mableton. We must encourage community development, work with the Cobb County School District, and support our aging population. I ask that you vote for me simply because I want the same change that you want, and I want to work with you to bring about that change. So please, again, vote for me, TJ Ferguson, for Mableton City Council District 5 to help build a better Mableton together.
Thank you so much. And Chijoke Ibis.
Good evening. My name is Chijoke Ibis. That's Chijoke Ibis. I want to thank the Mableton Improvement Coalition as well as the Austell Community Taskforce for this great opportunity. I always look forward for any opportunity to speak with the constituents and the voters at any time. I want to start by saying that I am the policy guy. I am a policy wonk. When it comes to budgets, policies, legislation, I'm your man. I'm the guy that is going to pick through the weeds, look at the details, try and find a solution, and also try and bring others to common ground so that we can find the best solution that best serves the people. Now, when it comes to this campaign, the things that you need to remember are that when it comes to me, especially as your city council member, that they boil down to mainly three things. Obviously, there's more, but they come down to three main things: housing, community, and jobs. Housing in preserving and expanding affordable housing, community in preserving and expanding public transit options, safe bike lanes and walkability, and jobs to make sure that we're bringing the kind of jobs that Mableton needs that also encourage more people spending time in Mableton without feeling the need to go elsewhere for their needs.
Okay, Mr. Ibis, we have to stop you there just for the 1 minute intro. Time is definitely going to be of the essence because we have a full boat here, but thank you for that introduction.
Understood.
And last but not least, yeah, and I guess what, last but not least, we did, okay, I think that's all the candidates, correct?
Great.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Joel.
All right. Well, I guess let's lead off with the first question that has been submitted to us. And again, these questions of our audience came from you, the audience, and members of the public. So the first question, and I will start this question with Ms. Davis. And this question is this: how will you bring the residents together, particularly the large number of persons who voted no to this city becoming a city? You have 1 minute to respond, each candidate.
You're muted. You're muted, Ms. Davis. There you go.
I keep forgetting to unmute myself. Okay, I'm so sorry. Yes, as I said before, I am willing to listen. I've gone door to door, knocking on doors. A lot of people are unaware that they have changed from Austell to Mableton, and was unaware of that we were even having an election going on. And I'm willing to talk to them and hear their concerns and address whatever possible issues they may have. And I will always have that open door policy. I am looking for ways that we can move forward together. We want positive change. I always ask, if given the opportunity, just give us a chance to make things better for you, or how can we grow together as a community? And they're willing to listen and give us an opportunity. And I want them to understand that we hear you. We understand that this is not something that you wanted initially, but we're going to try to make the best of it and move forward and make changes that best serves the majority of the people.
Very much. Mr. Ferguson, the same question. You have 1 minute.
Unfortunately, there was a bunch of people who did not necessarily want the city. I completely understand that. At the end of the day, however, I also understand that there are a number of people that want to see things happen in Mableton. They want to see change. They want to see more opportunities. They want to see more jobs. They want to see different things that we can bring to the city of Mableton. That's my desire. And I have the desire to not only work with the people, but then also working with Cobb County and the state to bring a lot of that change about. There are things that we need to work on. There's things that we need to look at. We need to look at building up the Floyd Road, the Veterans Memorial, and different corridors like that. We need to look at how we bring in affordable and attainable housing options. We need to figure out how we're going to do more to work in the cities. in the schools. It's imperative that we work together, that we hear each other. I hear from you, you hear from me, and we understand how it is that we're going to make those things happen. That's my desire for anybody in the city, in the district, to understand about me. We're going to work together to make change.
Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Ibis, same question to you, 1 minute to respond.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Mr. Ibis.
Thank you. I feel that a very important aspect when it comes to the people who voted no against Mableton wasn't that they necessarily didn't want a city of Mableton to exist. It was out of a concern for what was going to be done with the money, how that money was going to be collected, how it would be allocated, and whether or not the city would properly provide the services that they're designated to do. So I think the most important thing that a mayor and a city council can and should do is listen, communicate, but most importantly, listen and be able to take those concerns and turn them into tangible and transparent outcomes. So transparency is the name of the game when it comes to addressing the concerns of the people who voted no, even if we may necessarily not agree.
Thank you very much, sir. And Ms. Luce, same question, 1 minute for a response.
Hello. I would say, let's look at Smyrna. How was Smyrna 20 years ago? It doesn't take a year or two to build a city. So it does take time. Now, I respect the citizens who want to de-annex. That's their choice. More power to them. But we need to listen to them. Just because one of us is going to be elected doesn't mean we have all the answers. Maybe we can get some good suggestions and ideas from those who oppose annexation and make this become a beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Dante?
All righty. So let's go with this question here. So the question is, what experience or skills qualify you to start a city from scratch? And we will start with, let's start with Mr. Ferguson.
How did I know I was going to get that question first? The beauty of my experience has always been an eye about the people and listening to what people need. I have been an IT guy for the last 30 plus years. I'm a Navy veteran, and I'm also a girl dad. I'm also a husband. And everything that has led me up to this point is all about listening to what people need and understanding that. Now, there are not too many people that have a whole lot of experience starting a city from scratch. However, I have the resources. I have people that I can go out and talk to, work with, to make sure that we are doing things the way that they need to be done. There's a whole transition team. There's there's other cities that are in the area that we're going to learn from. We're going to figure out how they did it, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, and we're not going to make those same mistakes. So my personal experience is all about my ears. It's all about my ability to listen to people. It's all about my ability to understand what it is they're asking and then doing something based on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to Mr. Ibis. Same question.
I feel that my experience, my work experience, my community organizing experience, all has given me the skills that are needed to be able to start a city from scratch, essentially. I have a Master of Public Administration. I've worked in public administration for over 10 years. I've worked in affordable housing and economic development for over 8 years. I've worked in state governments. I've worked in local city governments, and I've worked in nonprofits and in private firms. I have the legislative, the policy experience, the budgeting experience to understand what a city needs and what we can do to craft the legislation and the ordinances needed for Mableton. But more important than any of that, I'm a voter. I'm a husband. I'm a future father. And despite what my wife says, I am an excellent listener. And I look forward to being able to listen to the people of Mableton, because I am one of those people, and I was one of those people myself, a voter who just wants to make sure that our city does what we want it to do.
Thank you. And Ms. Luce, same question.
What is my experience to start a brand new city? Well, as a CPA, I have helped numerous businesses start for themselves. But what I see at the city level, we've got to hire an attorney. We absolutely need an attorney to get our wording correct. And I expect that we will probably get a lot of help from the Georgia Municipal Association. I've been reading a manual of theirs. There's a lot to be done, and we need professionals like an attorney in that organization. So working with lawyers, working with counsel, getting professional advice, and another candidate mentioned there are many other cities, also speaking with them. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Davis, same question. You're on mute. Take yourself off mute.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yes, my 21 years of state government experience working with DOT, doing architectural and engineering, pre-construction, and building the budgets for those contracts for the entire state of Georgia. My years of experience at Georgia Technology Authority doing IT, network, and infrastructure services, and the budgets for those contracts as well. I have written policy for our agency, standard operating procedures. I have worked with various vendors and construction and understand how it works. And I can use that to use as a blueprint of how we build our city. And I can take those policies, those standard operation procedures, those ethical policies that I have to sign off on every year and bring that to our local city. And it may not 100% because they're doing it statewide. I'll make it fit for our 78,000 residents. I write contracts that are reviewed with legal, and I work in conjunction with legal to draft these contracts provide services to the state of Georgia, our youth currently, and our residents of Georgia, of Atlanta, and the entire state.
Time. Thank you very much. That's your minute. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, Joel, to you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right, next question. And this question, we will start with Mr. Ebis. We have increased numbers of homeless people in camps and related trash and drugs. How do you think this new city can address this problem?
Well, the problem as multifaceted and complex as the unhoused is one that will require a multifaceted and equally complex approach. One thing we can start with is identifying where our unhoused or homeless populations are concentrated, and then also trying to understand the factors that are causing this. Now, Mableton has a close proximity to Atlanta, which is both a benefit and a challenge, but it's one that we can appreciate and embrace. But we have to start by identifying the factors that can cause a person to be homeless, and then trying to work with nonprofits and other municipalities nearby to try and create a comprehensive strategy for the region rather than piecemeal things across each municipality.
Great, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. The same question to you, Ms. Luce.
Hello. Some services that could help the homeless, we've got to get through the county. I mean, that's already being provided. But I worked at a soup kitchen for 14 years, and I realized not everybody wants to have a home. They like the homeless style. So it's kind of a tough issue to look at. And I agree that education is the key to getting people out of poverty and off of the streets if they wish. So certainly pushing education, although we have no control over a school board. And housing, I believe you mentioned that that will be our zoning and planning department. And we have a lot of work to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Davis, the same question.
I am aware of some of these pockets that the homeless are living. I've mentioned it several times. I identified those. There are some of the storage units that we have within neighborhoods that some people are living out of. And I see where they are pushing their grocery buggies towards the edge of the woods to where they're encamped at. And you're right, Ms. Lucy, there are some individuals that do like that lifestyle, but we also need to provide shelters for them as well within relative proximity, close proximity of where they exist to help provide services from food, shelter from the elements, and try to help them counseling to try to get them to adjust to maybe some low income housing and to not continue that lifestyle. And where I'm working with the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ferguson, same question.
During my leadership Cobb year, LC22, I was blessed to be able to go around and really understand all of the services that we have available to us in Mableton and Cobb County. To answer your question, there are a number of people who are what I'll say is underhoused. We need to look at the entire underhoused population and figure out how to help them. There's a number of nonprofits that are out there that are here to help the unhoused, the underhoused. There's a number of churches, there's a number of community service organizations, but then we also need to look at our affordable and attainable housing options. And what are we doing to ensure across the entire city? My desire is to work with everybody on the council to figure out where we can place people that across the entire city. We got to work as a group. We've got to work in conjunction with everybody on the council. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Appreciate that. Dante?
There we go. Had to take myself off mute. Sorry about that. All right. So a question from the community. How would you attract more businesses or restaurants and investment to the city as a city council member? So that question, we will start with Stephanie Joy Luce. We'll start with you.
Well, I think our planning and zoning department is going to be key to helping this. You know, ultimately, as city council and mayor, we are the cheerleaders for the city. So we've got to get out there and push the business too, but we have to have the systems in place so that if a new business wants to come into our city, it's an easy process. So it's not only strictly for the business, but it's where is the business going to be located? We've got to have good roads, good sidewalks, easy access for the customer to reach that business. So it's cleaning up Mableton. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Davis, same question.
I recently moved into a new construction subdivision, and the area that I'm in does not have grocery stores, financial institutions, restaurants. There's basically nothing in the vicinity for the neighborhood. And prior to moving in, I personally started calling Kroger, Publix, these different places to see what can we do to bring more of those businesses to this area that is severely lacking. And they, you know, me being Joe Citizen, really didn't give it much of a thought, but we need to put some effort into individually calling, making the effort, not necessarily just talking to the community or working with the county. We need to actively call these headquarters of these businesses and say, hey, you're missing out on a very large population of people that is in desperate need of services within their community. And we just need to make the effort to call the headquarters of these people and find out what can we do, what will prompt them to come to this area.
Time. Thank you very much. Mr. Ibis, same question.
So the solution to this is twofold. It needs to include a robust economic development strategy that a city council and the mayor can work with in conjunction and holding the proper meetings to make sure that the voices of the residents, the voters, the citizens are heard. But also there needs to be greater flexibility in zoning. There's a direct correlation between having more mixed-use zoning and attracting more businesses. Businesses love to be able to be near residential spaces, near walkability, near transit. And the more we expand those things, the more desirable Mableton will be to more businesses.
Thank you, Mr. Ibis. Mr. Ferguson, same question.
There's a term called business density. And looking at business density, do we want to focus on having more business, or do we want to focus on having different business? We have to work with the people, not only the citizens of Mableton, but also the business owners, to understand their vision for their business. How is it that they want to grow their business? Then work with them to help grow that business. Yes, everybody's kind of talked about zoning and all that sort of thing. When you talk with these individual businesses, they are looking for rooftops. They're looking for people that are going to actually want to come in. How are we going to turn a profit? So in order for us to do that, we can't say it would be great for us to have X, Y, and Z grocery store, but what do the people want? What are the people going to actually service? Where are they going to actually go? And then as you continue to expand that, restaurants, what restaurants are going to thrive in a city of Mableton and in the different areas inside of Mableton? That only comes from conversation. It only comes from the city council working together to understand the vibe of the city and what it is that they'd like to see.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Joel, I'll turn it back over to you for the next question.
All right, I think so. The last question for our this particular group of candidates, but this question here is: what are your specific plans to enhance the lives of senior citizens who live in Mableton, so that they can stay in place and not have to move, and without increasing their taxes? And that question will go to Mr. Ferguson.
Once again, I get hit with the doozies first. So this is the aging population is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and understanding that we have the ability to build up places where they can live inside of Mableton that are safe, where they can thrive, where they can have their grandchildren come, where they can come and just enjoy the outdoors. One of the things that is also a major thought process for me is green spaces. So we need to work with the different groups that are going to be able to bring some of these homes, some of these developments into our city, and then talk to them about where do we place them so that they have access to hospitals, access to medical facilities, access to grocery stores, access to the things that they need for their daily survival. We've got to figure out daily survival needs versus where they're located, and then marry those two together.
Thank you so very much. Ms. Luce, same question to you.
All right. Nobody likes to have increases in taxes. And ultimately, I think that's part of the senior citizen question. So I look at it from a different perspective. As managing the city budget, we have a tight budget. We have no fluff. We shouldn't have to raise taxes. That's my approach. And with the city running efficiently, I think we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Same question, Ms. Davis.
Yes, I think first we need to address affordability. And then once we do that, we can work with the housing authority and to find some resources that we can provide for our senior citizens. I agree that they need to have close proximities to the services that they are in need of, grocery store, their banking, and things like that. So that is really a problem for a lot of Mableton residents, close proximity to the things that we need. But work with different agencies to provide services, transportation. A lot of seniors don't drive nowadays anymore. So we need to develop maybe a shuttle for them in their areas to help them get around. And seniors they get a reduced tax. They don't pay the school tax after a certain age. So yes, we don't want the taxes to go up, and we definitely don't want to impact our seniors, but they are getting a benefit in that area, and we will be looking for other ways to provide affordable housing for them.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Davis. Appreciate it. Mr. Evis, same question to you, sir.
Well, this will sound familiar, but when it comes to seniors, especially in municipal government, the issue is multifaceted. So the solution needs to be multifaceted. And very much of that goes to the core of my campaign, housing, community, jobs. Now, as an affordable housing regional asset manager, I look at Mableton as my asset, an important asset. And our seniors are at the core of the importance of that asset. Throughout my career, I've worked with seniors and senior advocates, and I currently have a portfolio of dozens of properties, all senior residences. So I want to expand affordable housing. I want to expand senior residences in the community. But for that to work in a way that the seniors need, it has to include density. It has to include access to transit, to walkability, and it must include expanded transit. We can't have 2 transit lines for our seniors and expect them to enjoy the accommodations that we say we want to bring them. So I'm looking for a balanced yet expansive role for our seniors and to make sure that their voices are heard.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all our candidates. Dante, you want to bring up our next group of candidates?
Absolutely. So first, thank you, all the candidates for District 5. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you being able to lend yourself to this exposure and lending yourself to answer the questions that the community wants to have answered. So we thank you again. And with that, we'll bring in the candidates for District 1, which we have Ron Davis and Deborah Johnson. So can you guys take yourselves off of, or actually turn your cameras on, and the candidates for District 5, you can turn your cameras off. Thank you. And let's see, I'm looking for Deborah Johnson and Ron Davis.
It's not allowing me to turn it on.
Okay. I think we can get that squared away.
Okay.
I can see you now. I'm not seeing Ron Davis. I'm not sure if he got kicked out into the waiting room. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and proceed. So yeah, so the two candidates for District 1, Deborah Johnson and Ron Davis. So Deborah Johnson, will go ahead and let you introduce yourself. You have a minute to introduce yourself and your campaign to the community.
Well, great evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Johnson. For those of you who do not know me, I'm a candidate, as you know, for District 1. I have been a stakeholder in Cobb County for more than 20 years, a graduate of a community college, Chattahoochee Tech. I am just credits away from receiving my bachelor's in science and concentration in business management. My family is huge and I love each and every one of them dearly. They can tell you I have spent many hours answering calls of concerns, sharing resources to those in need, engaging in my community meetings, and recently organized the largest Keep Cobb Beautiful event. I have yet to turn down a call to action, serving as a poll worker, school employee, and a servant leader at Destiny World Church. Most recently, I worked as the South Cobb organizer for Democratic Party of Georgia, coordinating campaign office. That work has contributed to Warnock's win, Terry Commons and Cobb School Board member Becky Saylor. Currently, I serve as Chair Emeritus for Austell Community Taskforce. Neighbors, you already know what City of Mableton needs: crime-free neighborhoods, resource community opportunities, small business developments, and programs.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it looks like I think Ron is having some technical issues. So we'll go ahead and jump into the Q&A. If we can get him back on, then we'll have him jump into the Q&A as well. So we'll start out with questions. Joel, if you want to, you can go ahead and start with the first question to Ms. Deborah Johnson.
All right. So, Ms. Johnson, the first question will be to you. So what specific experience do you have in leadership or civic roles in the community?
My specific experience that I have is chair for the Austell Community Task Force, organizing that committee or that organization for 3 years under the leadership. I have also had roles in nonprofit, sitting on different boards, and I've run a household. So, you know, I have 4 grown kids and a homeowner, been a homeowner for over 20 years. That to me shows a lot of leadership as well, obtaining the American dream.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Next question, Dante.
Sure, no problem. Sorry about that, I was on mute. So question from the community says, what will your first 100 days look like for your district?
My first 100 days will look like, first, there's a lot of trash that is being accumulated on Blair's Bridge. We have to do something about it. It's an eyesore. I will work with legislating on increasing job opportunities as far as wages are concerned. We have to have livable wages in order for our families to survive in this in this economy. So my first 100 days would look like the trash being taken care of in different areas, knocking on doors to get those constituents where that area is out and engaged and involved. It would look like creating a budget for what we need for the county. Of course, working along with other councilmen and women throughout the district, because we all know we don't know everything, and we all know we have to work together as a team. So bringing transparency, integrity, and accountability to the table will look like 100 days within coming to the table.
Thank you very much. Joel, to you.
Yes, Ms. Johnson. This next question is, and it's a beautiful setup you gave me here. You mentioned in reference that the importance of working with other city council members and the mayor. Tell us how specifically you will accomplish this, since those individuals will be elected in their own right, will have their own positions on how best to advance the strategies for Mableton.
Repeat that one more time, Joel. Let me make sure I understand it.
Yes, you have referenced the importance of working with your fellow city council members and the mayor. each of whom is going to have been elected in his or her own right and may have their own ideas about how to advance the strategic interest of Mableton. How will you ensure that you're able to work together harmoniously and there will not be clashes on the city council and the mayor, for example?
Well, I think the mayor is the one that brings what is implemented to him. Even though I know I will be talking to District 1 people to see what their concerns are as citizens, what they see we should incorporate it into the city of Mableton. So working with the mayor and city council, men and women, to determine if this is feasible for the whole city as a whole versus a district, because we gotta figure out what's gonna work for the whole city of Mableton and not just one district. I know my district lacks a lot. South Cobb has been, the underdog for years. People say over there, but we're really included in the county. So over there is not necessarily exclusive. We just need to figure out what we need from the people. I know as a homeowner here, I see different things that we need, but it may not be what the people want or what the people need.
Thank you very much. Dante?
Thank you, Joel. So the next question from the community says, will you support an amendment to abolish the city of Mableton? If not, why?
I would not support an amendment to abolish, but I am listening to those who want to consider themselves to be de-annexed. I don't believe in holding people hostage. If they don't want to be in a space, I don't try to make a person be in a space, but I understand this is a whole Mableton. And so with the steps being ordered from legislation, I would just wait it out and see what legislation. I wouldn't try to abolish what is going on, because there are some voters that voted for and there are some voters that voted against. But we just have to find a common ground to include all citizens of Mableton to make everyone happy. But again, I do not believe in holding people hostage. That's, to me, that's like mass incarceration. Somebody's trying to do better for themselves, but we want to include them in something that they're not used to or they're comfortable with. Then, we have to listen. We have to listen to all citizens, whether they want to be de-annexed or inclusive. We have to listen to all of them.
Time. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. It looks like we got Ron Davis back on. Ron, can you hear me? You're on mute. See.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So we are in the Q&A portion. So we're going to put you in the line of fire since you jumped back on. So the question, and I'll repeat it. The question that comes from the community is, will you support an amendment to abolish the city of Mableton? If not, why?
No, I would not support an amendment to abolish the city of Mableton, because one, the people have spoken and respect the will of the people. The people have voted to establish the city, and I think that should be respected. I mean, we do live in a democracy. Also, I see the potential of this area. I see the untapped potential in this area. Now, like many on this line, this is my home. I see a great future, and I think we can make that future better for everybody. I really do. It's at the end of the day, we all want the same things. We all want safe streets. We all want clean streets. We all want a place that we can live, eat, and play. And we have the opportunity to actually make history, in my opinion, in terms of making this city the best it can be, a model for cities and municipalities all over the country. So no, I would not support such an amendment.
Thank you. Time. And Joel, just kind of want to run an audible real quick since Ron just jumped on. Do we want to give a minute for Ron to introduce himself, because he fell off due to tech issues and he jumped back on?
Sure. That is
Okay.
fine, since you did have a technical issue, Mr. Davis. If you want to give the audience, this is a 1 minute top, just a chance to introduce yourself, do your kind of opening statement, so to speak.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, ACT and Mick, for this forum. My name is Ron Davis, candidate for City Council District 1. And I mentioned before, like many of you, and this is home for me. I want to see it the best it can be. I see the potential in this area. It has been untapped. And we have the opportunity now to make something good happen. And this isn't something we think about just for the present, but for the future. I see a great future for Mableton. We need to work together. We can make this happen. We really can. I've been a resident here for over 26 years. Good old Southern boy, Jackson, Mississippi. Southern values, all those things. And I was drawn to Mableton because it reminds me of where I came from. It's a great place. I love it. And let's make it be the best Mableton it can be.
Time. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Back to you, Joel.
All right, great. And I guess we'll go back to Ms. Johnson. This question is for you. Again, 1 minute to answer. What are the 3 challenges that are specific to your city council district seat that are different than the other 5? And how do you propose to solve them?
The 3 challenges I would say is housing, of course, jobs, livable paying jobs, and trash. How I would solve them, again, getting neighbors involved, engaged in their areas to help keep our Cobb areas clean. Jobs, working with legislation to make sure they are passing livable wages. And housing, work with legislation as well to make sure those committees are passing laws or bills that is helping our people to live comfortably. Everybody deserves a chance to live in housing, whether they can afford it or not. So legislation needs to figure out how they're going to help the citizens of the United States so that that help can trickle down to local community.
Thank you so much. Mr. Davis, same question to you. 1 minute to respond.
Well, the 3 I see in this area, actually 2 of them were actually the same as Ms. Johnson. I look at, well, 1, economic development, sanitation, of course, and actually, I think public safety. One of the things that has to happen, in my opinion, is that if we're talking about economic development, for instance, well, I have a business background, college graduate. I'm a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. I have a small business. So one of the things that has to happen is that you have to have people coming to the table to speak to the kind of businesses that we want in the area. You have to be able to speak the languages of those businesses. We have to, well, I'll put it like this. It's great to have passion. I believe in passion. But passion alone will not give us the outcomes that we need. We need to be able to communicate with those industries that we want coming into the area, speaking their language, so they will understand what we want from them, and we can understand what they want from us. Because at the end of the day, okay.
Is it time, Mr. Davis? I apologize.
I'm sorry, I got on a tangent.
That's okay. No worries. No worries. All right, and Dante, I guess, do you want to see if we have time for one more question, or do we need to move on to the next candidate?
We'll do one more question. We'll throw this one in here. We'll start with you, Mr. Davis. What can you do to ensure there is social and cultural balance in Mableton?
Well, that's a great question. And actually, one of the things I really want to look at closely in terms of cultural and social balance, what it takes you actually going out. Anybody who's been in the military, you know what a recon mission is. Well, I would have, that's one of the things that I would do. I would take that approach to it. I would go out, look at other municipalities, how they have successfully integrated and become more diverse, and it's been a win-win for everyone. And I would do the same thing. It's there's a term for it. It's called benchmarking, and I would do pretty much the same kind of thing because I can't say that everything from another city will work with us, but I could take those things that really work, that really show promise in our area, and apply them to our city.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right, Ms. Johnson, same question to you.
Repeat the question, I'm sorry.
Sure, in just a second. Let me pull the questions back up for you. What can you do to ensure there is social and cultural balance in Mableton?
Well, I will build a community, a coalition for one, meaning reaching out to the constituents, to community colleges, find out, where these students are and where they want to be in the community and engage them in the process. That's what I would do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Joel, back to you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank both Mr. Davis and Ms. Johnson, both for their time and their thoughts and their visions they've offered for the community, and appreciate that very much. At this point, we're going to go on to the next group of candidates, and those will be City Council District 2. There were 3 persons who have qualified for that particular post: Monica Delancey, Dame Oladapo, and Keisha Scott. And as we've done previously, we're going to begin with a 1-minute opening statement from each of the candidates, and then we'll go into the Q&A portion of the evening. And we will start with Dame Oladapo, please. 1 minute for opening.
Yes, thank you, Joel. Hi, everybody. Good evening, and thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. My name is Dame Oladapo, and that's Dame like Tammy, and I am running for City Council District 2. I believe that Mableton has so many great potentials, and with us becoming a newly formed city, we must make sure that we get this government off on the right foot and set ourselves up for long-term success. And to achieve that, we need leaders who are able to put a plan in place and formulate long-term strategies. Leaders that have the business acumen, who are able to think strategically and manage resources and budgets effectively, effective communication, interpersonal skills, negotiation skills, and vendor management and conflict skills. We need leaders like that. And I have worked with a lot of Fortune 500 companies like Deloitte, Meta, the CDC, and the state of Georgia, helping them formulate policies that has really, really proven to be helpful. And these are the skills that I have that I'm hoping to render to District 2 to be able to make sure that we're a well-oiled machine. So I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone and just hoping that I'm able to earn your vote come March 21st.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next, Ms. Delansky, it's your chance at 1 minute to have your opening statement.
Good evening. I am so excited to be here this evening. Monica Yvette Delancey. I am a candidate for District Council 2, and I am so grateful to be able to share why I am the best candidate for this position. I moved here in 2007 with my daughter, Brianna, and my son, little Ernest. My daughter is a high school graduate from Pembroke High School, and she's also a college graduate from Bennett College. Since day one, I have been involved in the community, whether I have been serving as a volunteer with Austell Community Taskforce, volunteering with other organizations such as Cobb and NCP, and also starting nonprofits from scratch. We Thrive in Riverside Rental Association. I'm about serving the people. It's about the people, and it's about the people that we have to serve. So basically, as I went out to the community, I encourage people to be involved, to engage. So when you think about a vote for Monica, you vote for Monica because vote for Monica is a vote for businesses to do good business in the thriving community. A vote for Monica is a vote for all our children to be successful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Scott, 1 minute for your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Keisha Nicole Scott, and I'm here to tell you why I am the right and only candidate for District 2. With my 20 years experience in the financial industry, I am prepared to make tough, fiscal, responsible decisions to ensure that this community will begin to thrive in a more vibrant way. I am that candidate that you can trust with authentic and reasonable communication. And with this can-do attitude and voting for me, you'd be choosing the right candidate. I am Keisha Scott, and I am the right candidate. Vote for the fresh start, which is Keisha Scott. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll jump straight into our Q&A portion. This question is coming from the community. So for District 2, the question is, what is your vision for the Six Flags area? And we'll start with Monica Delancey. We'll start with you.
Well, the vision for the Six Flags Drive area is for all residents to be thriving. Immediately when I started working in the area as a volunteer, I would go to meetings and basically would say, why aren't renters coming to the meetings? Why are they coming to the meetings at the schools? So basically we had to give an option for renters to be involved in the community. So without just saying what the problem was, I create opportunities for renters to be civically engaged. And with my Thriving Families Project, I was able to encourage roughly 20 parents to be involved in the community. When we talk about the Six Flags area, we have to encourage people to not be afraid to stand up, have courage, and basically be able to say that we all deserve best qualities. So basically, what I see for Six Flags Drive community is for families to work together, families to go to public safety meetings, families to be involved in our schools, and also families to not be afraid to share, Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ms. Delancey. And we'll go to Ms. Scott. We'll go same question.
So where I see the community is a place where we have an infrastructure, where we have a multi-use community, where we see innovation. And while we focus on the renters, we want to make it a more inclusive. It's not just about the renters, it's about the renters, it's about the homeowners, it's about attracting and keeping and retaining communities that thrive. And we notice this community is potentially a transient community. So how do we bring local businesses here to keep them here and stay? That's what I see, a vibrant, thriving community in the city of Mableton. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Oladapo, the same question to you.
Yes, thank you. So what I see for Six Flags is a sustainable community that fosters economic growth and provide excellent public services like we already do with Six Flags, just like 3 minutes from our house right here. And we want to create a community that just provides enhanced quality of life for all of our residents. I drive by Six Flags all the time, and I see the beautiful things that location has to offer. And I think that we can work together to build a resilient Six Flags area that is prepared for challenges of the future while preserving what that city already has and doing more to make it more accessible. We want, public transit that will take people over there, even if they don't have vehicles to get there. We want new businesses and just thriving community for our children and for the renters, for those with homes, and just the entire community as a whole is what I see for that location. Thank you.
Thank you. Joel, back to you.
All right, thank you. With respect to your specific district, there of course exists the South Cobb Redevelopment Authority and the Special Service District that is in partnership with it. What specific work have you done with the South Cobb Redevelopment Authority? And to what can you point that shows you will be a partner with it going forward if elected? And that first question is to you, Ms. Scott.
Unfortunately, I haven't. I'm not a career politician. I've spent my time in other communities, I will say, but as grounded as I am with the 15 years, again, I mentioned a fresh start. You can look at my LinkedIn and see the financial gains that I've helped many companies attain. And I want to take that marketing experience and just my love and passion for people to apply that to our community. I don't want to be prevented from showing just how impactful I can be and will continue to be in this community. Whether or not I win the race, I still am a resident and voter and passionate about our community. And I believe the voters will see that and not hold my history against me, but only think about the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Oladapo?
Yes, thank you. Unfortunately, I do not have experience working specifically with the South Cobb Development Organization. Well, one thing I can tell you specifically is that I am a project manager first, and I feel like that skill transfers really well into this question because for us to, start redevelopment, we need someone who can manage budgets, someone who can work with multiple stakeholders and help us prioritize ruthlessly when we need to. And that will be very crucial to the success of any redevelopment that we are planning on implementing in this city. I know for a fact that this is going to be successful if I handle it. And I am very passionate about this community, and I will give my very best and everything I can do to make sure that it is successful. Thank you.
Very much. Same question, Ms. Delancey?
Yes, I do. I am aware of the South Cobb Redevelopment Authority. I've attended 90% of the meetings since they've been an organization. Basically, South Cobb Redevelopment Authority was the organization that spearheaded the Magnolia Crossing apartments being torn down. And I mobilized those residents to attend the South Cobb Redevelopment Authority. Residents attended, homeowners attended as well. We went to the Cobb County Commissioners meeting, and those residents received moving expenses when the building was torn down. So had I not been attending South Cobb Redevelopment Authority meetings, those residents would not have known that they could get assistance to move. So yes, being here in the area for 15 years, I am involved in a number of organizations meetings. And it's not just to say that I'm going as a politician, because I'm not. I'm going because my children live here. And if my children live here, I'm going to be involved with whatever's going on. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Dante?
All righty. So this question again comes from the community. The question is, how will you support the interests of all constituents to include those that are not renters? So we'll start with Ms. Oladapo. We'll start with you with that question.
Yes, that's a great question because our area is highly populated with renters, and it is very, very important that we take into consideration the benefits of homeowners as well. And one thing I want to say is, in order to be able to support homeowners, we have to make sure that we figure out assistance that we can provide. Our country is in an economic recession, and people need help. Our community needs help, so we have to be able to figure out how we can provide that help to our homeowners, and also how we can make sure that property taxes stay the same. We have to make sure that we ruthlessly prioritize our budget, because I'm a homeowner myself, and the last thing I want is additional taxes, more than I already have. And we have multiple properties in the Atlanta area that we manage as well. So I want to make sure that property taxes stay the same. And the only way for us to do that is to make sure that our budget is on point. And that is how I think I would be able to assist homeowners.
Time. Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Scott, same question.
Can you repeat the question for clarity? I was listening intently to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the question is, how will you support the interests of all constituents to include those that are not renters?
And that's going to come with spirited communication and having that open door policy where we can sit down and discuss budget, planning, training, and just really make sure the voices are heard. But unfortunately, we have to understand that in order to move our community forward, we have to make fiscally responsible decisions. And so as a community, we have to come together and see what that really looks like. And working in the financial industry, it's important that we all take ownership. And how do we do that? And taking ownership and how we play a part in our community by spending more in our community and things of that nature. But ultimately, in conclusion, it's just to really listen to the renters, but also make it all inclusive of Mableton and not renter versus homeowners.
Thank you. And Mr. Lancey, same question to you.
Yes, we are all in this together. It's not renters versus homeowners. It is how we're going to thrive together. When I volunteer at the schools, I'm side by side by homeowners. I'm side by side with teachers who are homeowners. We can all learn from each other. So what I would like to have done is more opportunities for people to become homeowners. I'm so glad I have a realtor, Sandy Johnson, that came out to one of my workshops, who taught to renters about being homeowners. We learn from each other. So I am not a homeowner right now, but my parents were homeowners, and I'm looking forward to my daughter and son becoming a homeowner. So yes, we're in a diverse community. We have to embrace the fact that this community, District 2, is 45% occupied by renters, and we're gonna all thrive together. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. And back to you, Joel.
All right, great. Thank you very much. All right, this question is going to you, Ms. Delancey. The second that Mableton's become a city, it will be taking over a number of parks and recreations assets and personnel. Tell the voters, what is your vision with regards to those personnel and those assets, and what additional plans might you have for expanding them?
Wow, great question. Well, basically, I'm so grateful that South Cobb Recreation Center is right in our backyard. When we moved to the area, immediately we went down to the recreation center. That's how I met the Austell Community Taskforce. That's how my son played basketball for 5 years at the recreation center. So it's very important to have the recreation center in the community. But we also do need to have parks, right? Areas where people can go walk their dogs, where we congregate, where we can do some health activities together. So basically, keeping those individuals employed, because they're the ones that know not only do they know about the recreation center, but they know the community. Having the same person being able to be in that space will allow for our residents to do classes at those centers, and also they would be able to communicate and share ideas. So thankfully, we'll have those personnel in place so we can continue, and we don't stop what we're doing. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. All right, the same question, but now to you, Ms. Scott.
Great question. So for me, working in the financial industry and marketing, my plan is to use my extensive marketing experience where I use a creative idea, and in one weekend, that marketing strategy generated over $1.5 million. So I'm going to take that same education experience and my ability to understand data in order to generate creative ways to secure funding so we can make those parks accessible by finding the adequate space to add the green space, to add places where we can organize a garden so we can have a small reduction in the food disparities within our community. So using those marketing, financial planning, and data research will allow me to adequately make decisions to align with our fiscal budget and responsibility as a community. We have to think about that. Using that skyline, it's the binoculars of our community. Thank you.
Scott, I'm sorry. I think your time has reached. I apologize.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the last question for you, Ms. Oladapo, you have 1 minute to respond.
Yes, Joel, could you please repeat the question so I can answer adequately?
Yes. At the present time, the county owns several parks and recreation assets, and including the employees who work for them.
Mhm.
What are your plans once the city of Mableton assumes control over those assets and is faced with those particular employees? And what will you do to enhance those assets and to retain those employees?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So I mean, parks and recreation is definitely important to me because I have a toddler who loves to go to the park in the neighborhood, and of course it promotes health and well-being of our community. So right now, since the county controls most of that, what I would do is to collaborate with community organizations, nonprofits, and neighborhood groups to identify areas of need and potential solution, and just encourage public input as well, to ensure that the needs and preferences of the community are taken into account. And another thing that I would do, of course, is to increase funding. And we have so many ways at which we can do that. We can take a look at what our current budget is and find opportunities to make cuts or reduction to support, parks and recreation, and also make sure that those employees are retained.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think at this point, I believe we've reached our time for this particular office, but I want to thank Mr. Lansky, Oladapo, and Ms. Scott, all of you for your insights and your responses and the information you've shared with the voters this evening. And at this point, I think we're going to move on to City Council District 3. And I think that will be consisting of Victor Arnold, Keisha Jeffcoat, Barry Krebs, Yashika Marshall, and William Wilson. And Dante will start us off.
All right. So again, thank you, candidates for City Council District 2. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us this evening. So now we move to District 3. So everyone, again, we're going to keep with the same rules and same format. You start with a 1-minute introduction. So we'll start with you, Victor Arnold. You go first. 1 minute, and you're on. You're on mute, Mr. Arnold.
Excuse me. Okay. My name is Victor Arnold. I'm running for City Council, District 3. I've been living in Mableton for 23 years, me and my family. I moved to Mableton and found out that Mableton was a quiet, quaint community. I think Mableton should have the right to still have pockets that are quiet and quaint. Now, when we look at development, I think that development that we bring in should fit the community. I have worked in the health and wellness industry for over 30 years. Parks and recreations are very important to me because I have coached at these parks and recreation, football, basketball, soccer, all of it. So at the end of the day, I think our parks and recreation owe our children a place to be able to go and exercise and socialize, not just the children. The adults should be able to go and have a health and wellness program where they can get the kind of help that they need to live a more healthy lifestyle. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. All right, Ms. Jeffcoat, you're up. 1 minute.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First, let me just take the opportunity to thank Austell Community Task Force and the MIC for hosting and moderating this event, and also to the residents of Mableton that are joining us this evening for this virtual discussion. For those that haven't had the pleasure of meeting me, I'm Keisha Jeffcoat, and I'm running for Mableton City Council District 3. For me, it's really quite simple. I decided to run for City Council because I love living here. I've been in Cobb County for 14 years and Mableton for the last 6 years. I care about this community and I want to work with you to continue to make it better. I believe you must be the change you wish to see in the world. So I decided to step out on faith and run for office. I've spent the past 27 years in public service and serving in the Army and my community. I enjoy helping others. And through my work as an Army veteran and product leader, I've gained a wealth of insight, knowledge, and invaluable experience. And I'm confident that this experience, combined with my passion for this community, will enable me to be an effective member of the City Council. I believe you deserve to have a representative who can advocate for you on your behalf of the issues that matter most to you. I'll provide an honest perspective and be your voice for our community. Please
Ms. Jeffcoat,
for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, Barry Krebs.
Hello, my name is Barry Krebs, and I'm running for District 3 City Council. I'm going to start by saying I love Mableton, and I love Mableton's civic organizations and volunteers. I have come from the corporate world where I've worked almost 40 years. I'm retired, and I can dedicate 40, 50, 60 hours a week to ensure that our community is run properly, and will go the extra mile to help out all I can. I'm currently on the board of Keep Cobb Beautiful. I'm the board chair for the last 2 years. I've been with the Lions Club for over 8 years, and we've helped many people along the way. I've worked closely with many of the volunteer organizations here. I think one of the assets I bring to the job is that I can help. I've already got strong relationships with the community, and I can use those to our best advantage to move the new city forward.
Thank you, Mr. Krebs. And next up, Yashika Marshall.
Hello, my name is Yashika Marshall, and I'm running to represent the voices of District 3 specifically, but also Mableton as a whole. I've been a Cobb County resident for 10 years, and now almost 5 of those years have been here in the city of Mableton, which I really love. I am an attorney. I think I got an inadvertent plug from Mrs. Luce and Mrs. Davis before, saying how important an attorney would be in working with the new community city council. So I was happy about that. I currently work for a global organization as Director of Compliance and Risk Management. I also have a work history of working as a Director of Neurodiagnostic Lab and sleep for a hospital system. So I have lots of experience in standing up new functions in complex organizations. And we found ourselves now in a complex situation. And so I'm solution oriented, and I want to help Solution for Mableton be successful in a city that in the way I know that it can be. So I thank you all for taking the time to come listen to us. I hope that we are able to give you some clarity, and that we show you the type of candidates we are.
Hi.
You can vote for the person that best aligns your interests.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. And next up, William Wilson. There you are. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is William Wilson. I've been a resident here, or a member of the community, for 46 years. I grew up playing t-ball in the youth leagues over at the Lions Club. I actually continued to play baseball over at Wallace Park. I have fond memories of this area. I love this area. I remember when my family had the Mableton restaurant years ago, and grew up bussing tables over there. Met a lot of interesting people that are still here in the community, and I still have a lot of friends and family. I have a master's in business administration. I also have a master's in health administration that I received from the University of Georgia. Most recently in my professional career, I created a telecommunication company that provides Class A commercial and residential internet and voice, proprietary internet and voice, where we competed against billion dollar budget companies such as AT&T, Google Fiber, Comcast, you name it. We were very successful winning contracts, directly competing against those. I was also a part of Mableton Yes, and also a part of the South Cobb Alliance. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Joel, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. One thing I did want to do is I wanted to also issue a clarification. One of the earlier questions that was posed with regards to the parks and their employees. Just to clarify for all the viewers and the listeners on this particular program, the city does not take over the employees. Obviously, they're free to work wherever they wish to work. So we just want to make sure we issue that clarification. It's really only the physical assets, the buildings, that will be, I guess, sort of kind of the control of the new city. So again, we apologize if there's any confusion to the listeners, but we want to make sure that's clear to everyone as to how that would work with respect to parks and rec. This question is, we're going to start with you, Ms. Marshall, and you have 1 minute to answer. Tell us the 3 personality traits that you have that you believe will allow you to become a successful member of the city council.
Is it because I'm on mute that you go with me first, Joel? I would say that 3 of the personality traits that I have is, one, that I am an empathetic individual. So I really do take the time to listen to people, to really understand what their needs are, and be able to convey that to others, because second thing is I'm a communicator. I love to engage people at all times. I like to ensure that I'm understanding what people's needs are and how I can best suit them and help them accomplish whatever their goals are. And I think also that I am, as a compliance and risk director, I really look for solutions. I don't like to say no to anyone. I like to first analyze something and provide back how we can best solve for whatever it is that is being presented, so we can get to the best solution for whatever the problem is that is being presented before me. So I would say that me being empathetic, me being a communicator, and me being really solution oriented are the three things that make me great for this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Krebs, same question.
All right, I'd like to probably top three things would be dependability, hard worker, and friendly and caring. I've worked very closely with the MIC group, the Austell Community Taskforce, Rotary Club, and other city organizations such as City of Austell, City of Powder Springs, who all are doing great work right now with their cities. And in fact, I'm very friendly with the City of Austell. I sit in their city council meetings. They also, they have their city lawyer there. They have, and they go about their business. And the city also did something really neat that I think we would be prudent to take a look at, and that would be they had a area where every concerned citizen got to come in and take a look at different models of different formats, like everything for the city, like how many stories you want the building, do you want a rooftop restaurants, do you want benches? So
thank you, Mr. Krebs, appreciate that. The same question to you, Mr. Wilson. 1 minute.
Sure thing. Well, first and foremost, I'm disciplined. I know that it's going to take a lot when you're working on a city council and you're responsible for your constituents. I'm going to get up every day and go to work on behalf of those and to meet the needs of the community. Second, I'm optimistic. I'm very excited about the opportunity that we have ahead of us. It's very rare to be given control over, your future as a citizen. And I want to work together with the community to be able to make that a reality. And also communication. We're going to be working as a team, as a council, and with the mayor, and also with the citizens. And it's important to be, to have your ears open, be able to communicate and work together to create solutions to complex issues.
Great. Thank you very much. The same question, Mr. Arnold, to you. You had 1 minute.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir. What are the three personality traits that you possess, and how will they make you uniquely qualified to be a very effective city council member?
Well, being a personal trainer and own a personal training company, what we do is we listen well. We sit down with clients and we listen, and then we put together plans to help them meet their goals. So at the end of the day, I'm really good at planning, okay? Other traits that I have, to me, is I work with children well, okay? And like I said, I told you about the parks and recreations. I work in the churches and community in the food bank. So I'm always there with people, listening, working with them, and figuring out the problems that they have and providing a solution. Is what I do for a living.
Thank you very much, sir. And same question to you, Ms. Jeffcoat.
Thank you, Joel, for the questions. For starters, I am a strategic leader. I've been a strategic leader throughout my entire career on both the corporate and military side. I've oscillated between both of those careers. And a visionary, I am all about getting things done. It's not just about talking about doing things. It's about getting things done and rolling up your sleeves. And I know that for the city of Mableton, initially starting off, is going to be a lot of challenges ahead of us. And I am just excited about working with the new government and being able to just work together to try to get things done. So outside of strategic leadership, I'm a congenial professional. I get along with a lot of people, and I am a great communicator. I'm able to bring people together despite the differences, all of us coming together for one common goal. And then, lastly, I have the tenacity to overcome challenges and build relationships. And so I think those three attributes will definitely serve and be beneficial on the new government.
Thank you so very much. Appreciate that. Dante, next question.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And let me go to my question here. All right. So this question from the community: I just had it here. What is your plan to improve school performance in the city of Mableton? And we will start. We'll start with William Wilson. We'll start there.
Okay. I've got a friend of mine. His name's Trey Hutchin. He's on the board of directors for Cobb County School Systems. And we always talk about the discrepancies between what's going on here in South Cobb versus what's going on in other parts of the counties. For instance, my family actually moved myself to East Cobb when we were going into middle school. So I went to middle school and to high school in East Cobb, went to Walton. And at Walton, we had a college preparatory type of curriculum that was advantageous and for us to reach our goals so that we were college ready upon graduation. We need to implement those same things here and make sure that the students and the children in the area are well prepared to go on into college and start careers afterwards.
Thank you. All right, and we'll jump to Ms. Jeffcoat. Same question to you.
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Okay. So I think the first thing is to invest in teachers and training and support. It's important that the teachers have all of the necessary training to be able to manage the classroom effectively. And then I would definitely increase funding for the schools. Adequate funding is going to be crucial for schools to be able to provide the students with the resources that they will need to be able to succeed. I think it's important to focus on early childhood education. I mean, there's some research behind supporting early childhood education. And then also I would look into encouraging parents to really get involved in their child's education, just to foster a strong partnership between the families and the schools. And then lastly, implementing technology in the schools is going to be key too. It's a valuable tool to use in the classrooms, and students will be able to do a lot in terms of utilizing and engaging with educational materials and innovative ways to learn. So I think those will be some important things to do to improve the school's performance.
Thank you. All right, and we will go to Ms. Marshall next. Same question.
So I think that it's really important for us to engage the school board and city officials. I think the city council would have to ensure that we are engaging the right individuals to really understand where the gaps are before we can answer any questions about how we fix anything as it relates to performance. We need to understand what the underlying grassroots issue is so that we can address those gaps and fix those issues. So I think it's the most important thing is to ensure that we have meaningful conversations with the right individuals who understand where our problems lie and show us what we need, and so that we can invest in solving those issues by really understanding where the problem is. And I don't think that unless we have real analysis to why we're having performance issues, we wouldn't be able to really move forward with implementing any processes in place. So I think it first comes with understanding the problem.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. Mr. Arnold, same question to you, sir.
I also speak to Trey Hutchison, and we have talked about the different challenges that we have. Now, my wife is a school teacher here in Mableton, but I actually work at Hillgrove High School. The difference between that community and over here, the parents are involved. The parents are involved with their children's education, and they're not complaining when it's time to help their children with the homework or getting tutors for them or whatever they need. Over here, what I hear from my wife is the parents are not involved. They want the teacher to do all the work. They don't want to actually invest in their children and in their neighborhood. We got to get the parents educated enough that they want to invest in the neighborhood to help bring the right programs into the schools over here instead of pushing everything on the teachers and the school board.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. And Mr. Krebs, same question to you.
Okay, well, we're going to have a limited role as how much the city can do as far as education. We do every year we do a litter cleanup to make sure that our kids don't have to go to a school on littered streets. We also keep Cobb beautiful. We do work on community gardens within schools, and we also teach anti-littering courses and beautification courses. I do work closely with Sting and Haven of Help, which is a student mentoring associations that do great work. Also, I work with Four Corners Group and Please Keep Them Off the Streets, and they mentor at-risk kids.
Thank you, Mr. Krebs. Joe, back to you.
All right. As all of you know, Mableton is going to be a city that's a little different than some of the other cities in Cobb County, and it is what people colloquially call a cityhood light model, offering very specific services. Do you see a scenario in which the city might decide to take on public safety and other services it does not now have? And under what circumstances would that be? And I'll start with you, Ms. Jeffcoat.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yes. Mableton will be a unique city within Cobb County, and it is going to be called a cityhood light model, meaning it only offers 4 specific services, unlike the other traditional cities in Cobb County. Can you envision a scenario in which the city would take on new and additional services like public safety, for example, that it does not now have? And how would you handle that?
Thank you for the question, Joel. Yes, I definitely think that, you're saying that Mableton may have some limited services, but I think that we do need to also entertain looking at other services in terms of like economic development. Obviously, that's something that's going to be important in creating new jobs, as well as looking at trash. The blight along Veterans Memorial Highway can sometimes be an eyesore. So we need to develop a comprehensive plan to improve the appearance of that and focus on things like, as you mentioned earlier, the safety aspect and working with police officers and law enforcement, just to ensure that our city is safe for everyone that's here. So I definitely think we should look into expanding what some of those services and capabilities that Mableton would have.
Great. Thank you very much. Same question, Mr. Krebs.
The city of Austell has their own police department and their own fire department. Right now, Precinct 2 does a fantastic job for us, and so does our sheriff's department. So that would probably require a tax increase in order to afford those types of services. So right now, I'm good with the way the city light model. As far as litter is controlled, is combined, and safety on the streets, we do weekly Saturday morning cleanups every week, and me, along with some of the Friends of Mableton and other volunteers, many of whom are on this call, we do that to try to help out. We identify graffiti that we find and any kind of problems that we see out there. As we're cleaning up, we report to the police, and they do a great job of follow-up. So right now, I think the city light model is the best for us.
Thank you very much. Same question, Mr. Wilson.
I'm a proponent of the city light model. I think Cobb County does a good job with other services that they provide. The services that we've looked to take on as a city were specifically chosen because we saw a lack, and therefore we can move forward and make those services better. And they're all generated, or they're all tailored toward economic development. So with that, we can create economic engines to increase our base. So right now we're looking at about a $3.2 million surplus, and with new commercial properties coming into the area, new businesses, we can increase upon that, and then we can use those resources to allocate them to things that the community would like to see.
Thank you very much. Same question to you, Mr. Arnold.
Okay, when I look at public safety, we have to work together with our police department and sheriff's department to ensure the safety of our citizens. How do we go about doing that? A mentoring program between the citizens and our local law enforcement to build that level of trust. Now, I actually work for Cobb County Police Department Youth Track Program, where we take children from 4-year-olds to 14, and the police department is out there working with them in this mentoring program to show them a different side of the police department and the parents. And it's an excellent program. Been doing it for 10 years. The other program that a lot of people don't know the police department provides is a holiday program where they go to schools for children and parents that can't afford to have a proper Christmas. They pick those families, take them to Golden Corral, feed them, take those children to Target, give them a $90 spending limit. And the police department is looking for more programs that we are willing to help them.
Sir, I'm sorry, your time is up. I apologize. And that Ms. Marshall, same question to you. 1 minute to answer.
Yes, I think it was very smart for the proponents for the initiative who started the initiative of the city to limit the services that they wanted to start the city off with. I think that if we are to transition those services over seamlessly, we need to start with a very limited number of services. We create a framework to how we bring those services on, and so that later on down the line, when we are have a more solid foundation, that there could be consideration to bring on more of the services that the county offers. So I think there could be a scenario when we would consider bringing on other services, but I think it's good to kind of start where we are now. We have 2 years to transition over the services that we're going to be focused on. We do that as seamlessly as possible without disruption to the residents, and then we think about future state.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Dante, next question.
Absolutely. Okay. Next question that comes from the community is, if elected, what 3 steps would you take to put our city on firm financial footing? And we'll start with Mr. Arnold.
First thing I think we need to do is work with other cities that have been in the same situation. We're all brand new at this, and we can guess a lot of what we need to do, but we need to go and get some mentoring from other cities that have already been through the challenges and can navigate us through these hard times. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to be an easy process. That's what I think.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. And we'll kick that question over to you, Mr. Krebs. You're next.
Okay, the 3 steps we can take to have a firm financial foundation would be to encourage and stimulate business. Try to get one of my big goals is to try to get Veterans Memorial and Mableton Parkway set up with thriving businesses, not all the same type of business. We don't need 10 different tire shops or anything like that, but new shopping areas. I would have the time to this is something that Mick started. They were taking people out, corporate leaders out, and showing them around Mableton and all the good things that we have to offer. And I would make myself available to do that. Also, the franchise fees that are being paid right now by all the citizens that's not going to Mableton will help with step 2 of that financial. Oh, I'm out of time.
Thank you, Mr. Krebs. Okay, and let's see how we'll go here. We'll go to Ms. Marshall next.
I think first and foremost that we have to really identify all the utilities that we pay as residents that collect franchise fees from us, so that we can recoup those franchise fees back and put them into our coffers. That will help if, actually start giving us money. Also that we ensure that we create equitable contracts with individuals who are going to provide services to our new city that doesn't, break the bank, and that we are ensuring that they're equitable and that they're reasonable. And I also think that any IGAs that we have set with the Cobb County for providing those services, that they also need to be contracts that are equitable, and that we negotiate for fair prices so that we don't have to come back to our citizens to ask for any increase in taxes or anything to that effect.
Thank you. And Mr. Wilson, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, first off, we can start to build on our surplus by, like others had mentioned, going ahead and getting active with the franchise fees, and some utilities will estimate and provide a partial payment once we get an address list. We need to obtain a prorated share of the motor vehicle tax, obtain a prorated share of business license taxes, hotel motel taxes, inspection, code enforcement, and insurance premiums. And also, to increase our surplus, we need to, like I had said before, increase our economic engine. So promoting new businesses that will drive commercial tax revenue and help us to make sure that we're on a firm foundation to move forward.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Jeffcoat, same question to you.
Okay, thank you for your question. I think initially we just need to get a fair assessment of where we are. I know we had the $3.2 million surplus, but just understanding ways in which we will be able to reduce the spending just so that we can improve our financial stability. And so that may look like cutting back on unnecessary expenses and making sure we streamline our processes. And also just in terms of improving financial management and planning, just ensuring that we have a comprehensive budget, monitoring again our revenues, and putting in strong financial controls, as well as what's been already mentioned before in terms of businesses, making sure the businesses are here and that they are thriving, and that we provide them with the necessary financial tools that they need to succeed.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffcoat. Back to you, Joel.
All right, this question is to you, Mr. Arnold, to start with. Groups of residents within the city of Mableton have been organizing and signing petitions so that their communities or neighborhoods will be allowed to be de-annexed from the city through some process. Do you support a vote on those particular petitions if presented to you as a city council member? And tell us why or why not.
At the end of the day, I voted no for the city of Mableton. Okay, so when you have people that don't want to be in the city, I don't think we should hold them to that. And when you hold people that's disgruntled, that's upset, they're not going to come in and be positive, try to help us grow the city. They're going to cause a lot of different problems, what I see. So at the end of the day, if they don't want to be there, don't make them.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Arnold. Same question to you, Mr. Krebs.
Yes, I agree with Mr. Arnold. Yeah, I've heard both sides of the argument, and a lot of these people, neighborhoods, feel like they weren't informed totally that they're going to be in the city, and the wording of on the ballot was ambiguous. So I would allow a motion from neighborhood to do de-annex, and if they could prove that the majority of the population is in favor of it, I would approve it.
Thank you. Same question to you, Ms. Marshall.
I supported the legislation that allowed for the annexation of the different areas into the city of Mableton, and I would support any legislation that came out that allowed for the de-annexation of any communities that wanted to be annexed.
I think that the question was about the city council, not legislation per se. Would you support if a group of citizens came forward and said, hey, we'd like to have the city council approve the de-annexation of our particular community or our neighborhood, would you support that? If presented, why or why not?
To the extent of it not harming the city of Mableton as a whole, I would have to consider how it would impact the entire city. I wouldn't say that I would not support it or that I would support it at this time. I would have to really understand all the parameters involved with it.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Thank you. Mr. Wilson, same question to you.
I would support de-annexation of Smyrna properties. Some of those were written into the bill or into the map, and some have expressed that they had no desire to be in the city. Unfortunately, we didn't have notification in time before the bill was signed by the governor to remove those. And I think that they have a valid a valid reason to be excluded, and I would support the de-annexation of them. When it comes to Mableton and those addresses, I think it would be up to the city council to have a good discussion on whether and what kind of impact that would have on the future of the community. But at this time, I would not support de-annexation from Mableton addresses.
Okay, thank you. Same question to you, Ms. Jeffcoat.
So thank you for your question. As a new city, obviously, I think it's important to assess whether allowing certain parts of the community to de-annex will be in the best interest of our new city as a whole. I have faith in our electoral process and the democratic process, and I trust that the results of the election represent the voice of the community, even if the results were by a small margin, which I believe was like 53%. However, I think it's equally important to acknowledge and listen to the residents who voted against cityhood and are now proposing the de-annexation. I will listen to what is being said, but at this juncture, I think as a whole, we need to come together as a community and provide alternative options to those that want to consider de-annexation. And I know the fear is higher taxes and potentially that they may lose their autonomous decision-making. But again, I just think it's important for us to continue to keep Mableton as a city, a whole city moving forward. And that's my sentiments regarding de-annexation.
Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for your responses. Dante?
Thank you very much. So I think this will be the last question of the evening. So this question comes from the community. What is your North Star vision for Mableton, i.e. what is your top area of focus? And we will start that with Mr. Krebs.
Okay, top area of focus would be encourage business to move in to the Veterans Memorial, Mableton Parkway area, with a close second as protecting us from some of the blight in Fulton County. I'm seeing problems come around the border, homelessness and some other problems that we need to protect our county from.
Thank you, Mr. Krebs. We'll go to you, Mr. Arnold, next. Same question.
Give me the question again, please.
Sure. What is your North Star vision for Mableton, i.e. what is your top areas or top areas of focus?
Making sure that we are smart about bringing in the right restaurants. I worked in the restaurant industry, and restaurants make a lot of money at lunchtime off of foot traffic. We don't have that to offer here in Mableton. So at the end of the day, when we're talking about bringing in different restaurants, if we bring in the wrong restaurant, they go belly up in 2 years, no one else is going to want to come here because they're going to say that we can't support them. Me personally, I worked at Cracker Barrel, and at the end of the day, Cracker Barrel had a great breakfast clientele, a great senior lunch clientele, and then also a dinner clientele. I think a restaurant like that would work in Mableton, and that's the direction we should go. That's what's important to me.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. All right, let's see, and we'll go with Ms. Marshall next. Same question.
My focus would really be to help revitalize Mableton. I unfortunately wasn't here when Mableton had a movie theater and a bowling alley and a skating rink and all these things that our community can take advantage of. And I would like to ensure that we localize our spend here. Instead of driving 30 minutes away to get to a place or entertainment or joy for my family, I would like for my family to do that here because I love Mableton. So my focus would be to do whatever we could do to revitalize this area where we're building up our businesses that we have here, that we're focused on bringing in new businesses here. I hope to future state Mableton to establish a chamber of commerce that teaches people how to start businesses. And so it will really be focused on revitalizing Mableton.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. And we'll go to Ms. Jeffcoat next. Same question.
Thank you for the question. I think, obviously infrastructure improvement, I think that's been said throughout this discussion. That's very important for us to look into optimizing, Veterans Memorial Parkway, including the buildings and any other blight that's along Veterans Memorial. And in addition to making sure that we have public transportation systems that are accessible to everyone, that they are safe and efficient. And then economic and workforce development is key as well. The more businesses that are in Mableton, the more job opportunities that will be available for our residents. And so that will help to boost our local economy. And so I think those two would be my areas of focus: infrastructure improvement and economic and workforce development.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffcoat. And last but not least, Mr. Wilson, same question.
Yeah, just to build upon the answers of the entire group, because there was a lot of good suggestions. In order to achieve all of those goals, we're going to need to create those economic drivers, build upon our surplus, and attract the right type of business on our main corridors on the on Vet Memorial and Mableton Parkway. And we'll need to work with landowners. We'll need to work with developers. We'll need to work with the community to find out exactly what their wishes are. And yeah, I'm ready to see all the positives that I see in other cities located here. I'm ready to spend money or more of my resources in this area instead of other cities that have different options.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, and thank you to all the candidates. So I'll turn it back over to you, Joel.
Yes, thank you very much for that. I think at this point that'll bring the evening to a conclusion. I want to certainly thank our partners at the Austell Community Task Force and my colleague Dante for this wonderful partnership that we have to be able to put this forum on for the benefit of the community and the voters. I want to also recognize Sam Colbert, who's our timekeeper, and of course, Chandrika, our IT consultant, the guru, without whom none of this would be possible. So that is, I want to point out that valuable contribution. Of course, I want to thank our candidates. You took time, you put yourselves forward to run, to represent this community in various ways. And you've taken the time to be here tonight to take questions so the voters can be educated about your positions. And we thank you for that. And of course, you, the voters, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. As Dante said, you could have done anything else that you wanted tonight with your time. You chose to be here with your fellow neighbors and residents, learning more about the issues and about the position of the various candidates, which we very much appreciate. We strongly encourage civic involvement. I just want to remind you again about some upcoming dates. Again, February 21st is the last date to register to vote. February 27th is the first date that you can early vote. And of course, the actual election is March 21st. Again, we will have a second forum on the night of February 21st. That is next Tuesday, in which we will feature the candidates for 2 other city council districts, as well as the mayoral candidates. We strongly urge you to, if you have questions about your district, to go and either call or go on the website for the Cobb County Board of Elections. And of course, as mentioned earlier, there are videos which show many of these candidates you heard tonight, as well as our next evening, talking about their positions and why they want to run to serve and represent you. Please avail yourself of those opportunities to become educated voters. Again, we really thank you very much for being part of this process and for your support for the democratic process. And I will certainly turn it over to my colleague Dante for any further remarks.
Thank you, Joel. And again, thank you to Mick for the partnership. And thank you, Chandrika, for the technical assistance. Thank you, Sam, for being a very strict timekeeper, because we know time was definitely of the essence. And as we said before, we have a full agenda this evening. So time was definitely of the essence. We definitely want to reiterate again to the community that both Mick and ACT, we are nonpartisan organizations, so we are not here to support any particular candidate, nor are we supporting any particular party. The objective was to bring the candidates forward who are looking to represent you and us in the Mableton community, and give all of us the opportunity to meet them if we haven't had the opportunity to meet them, and hear their positions on certain topics or certain issues and see where they stand. And then allow us to be more informed and educated voters as we go to the voting booth and to the polling stations come February 27th or March 21st, whichever one you want, wherever you want to vote. So again, we appreciate all of the candidates this evening. We appreciate all of you guys for taking the time out of your evening to be here with us. We know that it's not easy for the candidates and for the community at large to carve out that much time, but we feel that it is very, very important to make sure that, again, you are educated and informed. So if, again, this is not to be the end all be all, this is not designed for you to know every single thing about the candidates. If you submitted a question and you did not hear your question, we encourage you to go research the candidates more, reach out to them via their websites, emails, phone numbers, whatever it is that they're giving out to you guys. Reach out to them, learn more about the candidates, and that way, again, you become a more educated and an informed voter. So with that being said, we will conclude this evening. Joel, I'll turn it back over to you if there's anything else, but I know you guys are tired, so hey.
Sure. Yes, it's an honoring your time. 2 quick points. Again, just want to stress that both ACT and MIC are both nonpartisan in our work. We're civic groups that work very hard to make sure we provide honest and balanced presentations to the community. And on another level, Taste of Mableton will be happening on April 15th, 2023. So please put it on your calendar. We'd love to see you there. That'll be a lot of fun. More details to follow, but you can look it up on our website. Again, thank you so much tonight, and I will hope that you all have a wonderful, restful rest of your evening, and we'll look forward to seeing you again on the 21st of February, if not sooner. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. See you guys later.